This episode is brought to you by Simple Funding LLC. For all of your pre-settlement funding needs, contact Simple Funding LLC to receive your money promptly. They're a customer-centric legal funding company that provides exceptional funding solutions at affordable rates. Simple Funding covers a diverse range of cases, including car accidents, slip and falls, worker compensation, medical malpractice, wrongful death, and more. They recognize that life goes on and you need to access your funds immediately, which is why they offer clients a swift and efficient process with minimal documentation requirements. For more information, visit simplefundingllc.com or contact them directly at 678-855-6232. Enjoy the show. And welcome back to True Stories from a Real Private Eye. I'm your host, Vinnie Coppola. With me is Lynn Lambdin, a real private investigator from Atlanta, Georgia, and he is going to regale us with another one of the cases he worked in the past. Before we get into that, Lynn, I'd like to welcome everybody back who's listening to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here, and welcome to our listeners in Russia and the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for listening. That is quite an honor. Thank you.
That is an honor, and that's pretty far-reaching, especially for a country boy like me, Vinny.
Yeah, hey, you're getting around, buddy. Yeah. What do you got for us today, Lynn?
Well, Vinny, this is a pretty good story. I work for an attorney. He was a pretty high-profile divorce attorney here, and he had some pretty good tactics when it come to divorce cases. He would do a lot of crazy things. He would file a lot of motions to keep the opposing counsel off kilter, so to speak. In one case, he filed over 200 motions to keep the opposing counsel just answering these motions to so that he didn't know what our next move was going to be. And it was a very he used these tactics.
And you worked for this guy with the tactics.
Oh yeah, he's one of this is one of the very few divorce attorneys that I liked working for, even though I hated him as an attorney because he was an a-hole.
Yeah.
I mean, he would talk to his clients like they were dogs, and I mean, just yell at them, and he would scream at me. But I was kind of I screamed back at him, and just we'd yell at each other, and sometimes even throw things. But
he was a great attorney.
Oh, he was the one that you wanted as a divorce attorney. If you were getting a divorce, you wanted him.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
He was awesome.
Okay. And we don't want to name his name on this episode.
Well, we can name his name, but he's deceased.
Oh, okay.
He was an older guy, and he is now passed. But his name was Paul Kohler.
Okay.
And people, even judges, cringed when he walked in. Now, in his later years, he was not as on his game when he was, his last few years. But in his earlier years, when I was working for him, man, he was a hoss. I mean, he knew what he was doing.
That's great.
And so this was a very high-profile case. We worked for the woman in this case. Or actually, we did not work for the woman. We worked for the husband in this case. Okay. And the husband was kind of he wasn't high profile. He was just kind of a average type dude, put on his work boots type guy. And the woman worked for a company downtown in a high-rise building, and she was kind of working her way up. She was kind of the breadwinner of the family. When I say breadwinner, I don't mean that she was the sole breadwinner, but she made more money than he did.
Gotcha.
And she was cheating on him with the third in command of a very large corporation downtown whose name was on the outside of the building.
Okay. But we're not going to name it for discretion purposes.
We're not going to name it because we just don't need those threats and those letters in the mail.
Okay.
Which we would probably...
Especially at this level that we're at right now.
especially at this level that we're at, but at any level...
You don't want that kind of heat.
you just don't want that kind of heat because this is a big corporation.
So for the purpose of this episode, we'll just call the business Acme.
Well, okay, Acme.
Acme, like the Roadrunner and the Coyote. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Okay.
So he was third in command at Acme.
Okay.
So he had a very fancy car, proud of his car, and that's important to the story.
Okay.
So so I go into Paul's office and we're sitting down with our client, and he's telling me all about what he thinks is going on, and this is one of the rare occasions where that he's right, but he doesn't know where this is happening at. He's going, she's cheating on me. I know she is. This is who she's cheating with. This is the proof. Most of the time, they're not very accurate with their information. But this time, he was very accurate. So we
how did he get that information? Or just
doing
his own sleuthing?
Yeah, and he was just very cool about it, and he didn't let her know that he was on tour, and he was just he knew that he had to set her up perfect in order to walk away with a big settlement in the end.
Right.
Because she made more money than him, and so he knew he had to do something to. So he was very cool about it. He didn't lose his head. He didn't fight with her about it. He didn't accuse her. He just kept his cool. So
smart guy.
Yeah.
Looking out for future interests. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I follow his wife for several days, and I didn't get anything. And then one day, I'm following her from work, which is downtown, and I follow her to 400 and Holcomb Bridge Road. There's a Waffle House right there that's gone now.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, the Waffle House is gone, but there's a Motel 6 right behind the Waffle House.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, I park at the Waffle House, and I back in, and that Waffle House parking lot is butted up to the Motel 6's parking lot. Well, lo and behold, he shows up, her boyfriend shows up, and they can't wait to get into the room. They go into the little place, and they obviously pay for their room. And
you know what's funny to me right off the bat, Lynn? What's funny to me is this is the third biggest guy at Acme, and he's going to a Motel 6.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And he's driving, at the time in the early 2000s, he's driving a $90,000 car.
Wow. Okay.
Probably $75,000 car.
Taking it to a Motel 6. Okay.
Taking it to a Motel 6. Okay. So they come out of the guy, she doesn't go in to pay for the room with him. He comes out of the office, and when he comes out of the office, she gets out of her car, and I'm in a Jeep Wrangler, and I back in, and I'm sitting in the back of the Jeep, and I got plenty of room back there.
Yeah.
And I've got my video camera set up on a little tripod, and I've got my flash camera, my still camera out, and I'm taking, and my still camera, I'm just taking pictures, and I got my video camera rolling, and I'm thinking, well, they're going to go into the same room together, but maybe I can get them, get a couple kisses in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Because you need that affection, because them going into the same room, they can go, well, we discussed business. You didn't get us doing anything.
Right.
So you're thinking pretty smart people. They're working their way up through Acme. One's third in charge, and one is over a smaller department and will probably work their way up since they're sleeping with the third in charge.
Right.
So, I'm sitting there and I'm filming this, and they start kissing in the parking lot, and I'm going, all right, I'm getting what I'm needing. Yeah. So he just throws her on the hood of his car. Yeah. And starts having sex with her right there in broad daylight at like 6 o'clock in the afternoon, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
So it's still light out almost.
No, that's not almost light. This is in the summertime. It don't get dark till 9.
It's light out. Yeah, yeah,
There's plenty of light out.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm zooming in on this.
yeah,
And it's not like you see two figures over there, Vinny.
yeah, yeah.
You see two grown adults with facial expressions and everything
Right.
going at it.
Yeah.
And I've got them having sex on my video camera, and I'm just taking pictures, and they have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't even go in the room. It's on the hood of the car. This goes on for 30 minutes. They get done, and they get in each other. They get in their respective cars and leave. They never go in the room.
30 minutes. Hey, not bad. 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, if you pay that much for a car,
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well use it for something.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
but see, here's the problem that bothers me about the whole thing is, I mean, they have no respect for each other's marriage. Both of them's married.
Right.
And I mean, I have more respect for the sanctity of marriage. I would never cheat on my wife.
Right. Me neither.
If I had to have somebody else that bad, I would go to my wife and I would say, it's over. It's time to move on. I would never, ever do something like that.
Exactly.
That's so much disrespect, and that's so much
betrayal. It's betrayal.
It's just, I mean, I just respect the sanctity of marriage more than that.
And not just that, you're basically you're going back on your word. You know?
Well,
it's yeah. There's. I mean, we can go over that. We can go over this for like another hour. But I agree with you 100%.
Well, if they'll cheat with you, they'll cheat on you.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, so I get this video and I get all my evidence, and I go back to the attorney, and he says, "Okay, we're going to serve him with a subpoena, and we're going to get him in a deposition, and we're going to ask him about this, and then we're going to present him with the tape when he lies about it."
Right.
Because when they do a deposition, they're under oath.
Right.
I said, okay. So we get the subpoena, and I start trying to serve this guy.
Now, just for those for those listening who may not understand the process, when you get a subpoena, you present evidence to a judge, right? And the judge offers. Isn't that how it works?
No, not on a subpoena.
Oh,
on a divorce case, which is.
So I'm one of the people that doesn't know the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the divorce was after we got the evidence, they filed for divorce.
Right.
And then the divorce was served. I served the divorce. Our client filed, and then I served his wife with the divorce papers. And then once the divorce papers were served, then you have subpoena power. Then you serve with the subpoena for evidence. It's called the discovery phase of the case.
Gotcha.
So you serve people with the subpoenas that you want to gather your evidence. So
you don't need a judge for a subpoena.
No, you do not need a judge. The clerk of courts, back then, you needed the clerk of courts to sign off on it. Now the attorneys can sign off on it. And the attorneys could have probably signed off on it back then, but nobody did it. Now most attorneys will sign the subpoenas these days.
Okay.
But because the attorney is actually an officer of the court, so they can sign off on the subpoenas. But you would go down to the courthouse, and the attorney, the clerk of courts will sign it, and then they will take their big crimp and they'll crimp it with that big crimp.
Yeah.
And now they don't even use the crimp. Now they just use a ink stamp and they stamp it.
Okay.
Or you can just print them off, but you have to pay for them. Back then they were $1. I think they're $5 now.
Okay.
And that gives you the subpoena power. And if you serve them with the subpoena and they don't show up, then you can go in front of the judge and ask the judge to make them show up.
Right.
So, and basically you have a deposition, and the deposition is your attorney's there, their attorney's there, and then you have a court reporter there who takes the deposition.
Has anybody that you served ever showed up for this deposition without an attorney?
Well, no. Well, I mean, yes. If you're serving a witness that's not like a third party or a non-involved party, sure. but the plaintiff and the defendants, both attorneys will be there.
Got it. Okay.
So let's say that the plaintiff, at this case, I was working for the plaintiff because we filed the lawsuit. So the plaintiff will have we'll serve it's either going to be a friendly witness or a non-friendly witness, meaning it's either going to be our witness or your witness. So if we serve that subpoena, this person is going to show up. They're typically not going to bring a witness, a lawyer with them, but the lawyer for both parties will be there.
Got it.
And if we ask a question that they don't want an answer to, of course they're going to try to keep us from getting that answer. But it's a deposition. You can ask any question you want. It's not like court.
Right.
It's not like when you're in court in front of a jury. You have to stay pretty focused, pretty straight on what questions you can and can't ask. But in a deposition, you can get pretty broad.
With a trial, there's procedure. With a deposition, it's discovery. It's
exactly.
Okay, I got it. Okay, thank you.
So we subpoenaed her boyfriend we tried to subpoena her boyfriend, and he kept hiding from me and running from me, and I would go sit out in front of his house, and I would follow him all the way downtown to the Acme building, and he was a very high-ranking executive, so he would go into his gated garage and pull just far enough ahead so his gate would close, and I couldn't serve him.
Very clever.
And so this cat and mouse game went on for, I don't know, couple months. Chased him all over Marietta. He lived in Marietta.
Wow.
And she lived in Marietta too. So I chased him all over Marietta and never could catch him. So I got tired of chasing. I chased him down to the Acme building, and when I'd go up to the top floor where his office was, and they'd say, he's not here. And I'd go, I know he's here. I just followed him from his house to here. And when they go, well, he's not here today. He's off. I go, I see his car. I can see his car inside the gate. I know he's here. Well, no, he's not here.
So he had his employees protecting him with this.
Sure. His employees was protecting him and would always lie to me. But if you were told to protect your boss and you didn't, you'd be fired.
Right.
So he was being protected. So I got to thinking. I said, how am I going to get him? And then it hit me. I said, I got this SOB on videotape.
Yeah.
I can't be sued for telling the truth.
Right.
They can't sue me if I tell the truth.
Right.
So one morning, I got up in a bad mood, and I followed him down to the Acme building. And he gets on his own private elevator that I can't get on, that only executives can get on. And then he goes up, and I go get on the mirror, nobody elevator. I got my video camera in hand.
Yeah.
I got pictures in hand.
Yeah.
And I asked for him. And they said, he's not here. And I said, he is here. I said, I just followed him here, and I watched him go in the garage and park. I said, I'm tired of chasing this SOB.
Yeah.
And they said, he's not here. I said, he is here. And I said, he knows I'm right here trying to talk to you, trying to get him. They said, he's not here. And I said, let me show you something. I said, see these pictures? And I opened my video camera. And I said, see? I said, here he is screwing so-and-so on the hood of his car at the Motel 6. I said, the cheap bastard didn't even have enough respect to take her inside. Yeah. I said, with the money he's making, I said, he shouldn't even take her to a Motel 6. I said, look at him here. I said, he's on the hood of his Audi.
Yeah.
And he came running.
Yeah, I bet.
And he snatched that subpoena out of his hand, and he said, would you please leave?
Yeah.
So I left.
But you tossed the subpoena at him, right?
No, he yanked it out of my hand.
Oh.
I didn't have to give it to him. I said he yanked it.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I would please leave.
Yeah, yeah,
But I was naming names. I named his name. I named her name.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
said, here he is screwing her on the hood of his Audi at that Motel 6 over on Hope and Bridge Road. And I
yeah,
was yelling it out.
yeah, yeah,
And everybody in the office was going.
yeah, yeah. Oh, this is great.
And they knew it. Everybody there knew that he was sleeping with her.
Right, yeah.
And but they didn't think that I had the
Proof, yeah.
well,
Yeah.
they didn't think that I had
Evidence.
the cojones to
Oh,
present the evidence right
yeah.
there in the office.
To start screaming it. Yeah.
Well, needless to say, he showed up for his deposition no longer as the third in charge.
Oh, really?
Because they have a very strict policy that you're not allowed to sleep with your subordinates.
He got fired?
He got fired.
Holy cow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was angry.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
When he showed up for his deposition, he was very angry,
Yeah.
and he admitted to nothing except the videotape.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we won the divorce hands down
Right.
because
Right.
he couldn't deny anything.
Was it now in a divorce, do these oftentimes go to court? I mean, is there like a trial?
Well, if you don't have evidence like we have, there's a trial.
Okay. So there was definitely no trial with this one.
No, he settled.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, she settled with us because he had nothing to do. After the deposition, this man that we were representing, his wife decided that it would be better for her to settle with us and give the man what we wanted and move on.
Right.
And so we did. She gave him what we asked for and went on, and we were very happy. Our client was very happy. And so I'm sitting at my desk probably a month later. My phone rings, and it's the attorney. And he says, he said, you're going to be getting a phone call. I gave your number to so-and-so, which was the wife of Acme's third in commands, and she wanted my videotape for her divorce.
Oh, yeah.
So I turned it over to her.
Oh, yeah. You said it was.
So he got so if he would have just taken this and kept his mouth shut instead of being all high and mighty and cocky and you can't serve me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you can't serve me.
Yeah.
I would have never have been forced.
Started yelling. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If he would have just pulled in one morning, all he had to do was, I shouldn't tell you this because people will watch it and then they will learn.
Right.
If he would have just stopped one morning and let me serve him outside his neighborhood somewhere, pulled into McDonald's or Krispy Kreme or anywhere, and just let me serve him, and I quietly showed up for the deposition, his wife would have never found out.
Right.
Acme would have never found out.
Right.
And it would have all been said and done.
Yeah. Just settled and then done.
And done. Yep.
Yeah. So now he's lost his job. He's lost his wife.
Yep.
Probably lost that $90,000 car.
And lost his, our client got the house.
Got the house. Can't go back to Motel 6.
Well, he was a hit at Motel 6, or she was a hit at Motel 6. He probably wasn't.
Yeah.
But,
that's hilarious to me that this guy makes all this money, drives this fancy car, and takes this girl to Motel 6. It was probably, you know what it was? It was probably like a plan between the both of them. Well, no one will suspect,
Well,
they'll think that if we're cheating, we're going to go to the Ritz-Carlton or something. Yeah.
But wouldn't the Ritz-Carlton have been a much better option?
Yeah.
Because you have parking at the Ritz-Carlton.
It's underground.
It's underground.
It's underground.
and you have to you can only get to the room because you have to have the key to get on the elevator.
Right.
I can't get to the elevator.
Right.
Only the people with the key can get to the elevator, so I can't show you going into the same room together.
Yeah.
And you can get rooms side by side that has a door between them.
Right. Right. So there can be no, or there could be what's it called? What's it called? Doubt. What is it called?
Circumstantial.
No, no, no. Well, yeah, circumstantial, but also isn't there a reasonable doubt?
Yeah,
Reasonable doubt because, well, no, we were working.
exactly.
Yeah, that's why we took separate rooms. Blah blah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
mean, the Ritz Carlton would have been such a much better,
Right.
and the Ritz Carlton. Well, I don't know if the Ritz Carlton. I don't know what hotel's close, but the building that had Acme's name on it, they were probably 5 hotels within walking distance.
Yeah.
One could have left at 4 and one could have left at 5, and nobody would have known the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody would have ever caught them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because one could have went out the back door and one could have went out the front door.
Right. Yeah.
And how do you follow both of them without 2 people?
Yeah.
And I mean, it could have been done so easy. I mean, I've seen people cheat in these big hotels like this.
Yeah.
Where that one will go get the room and get 2 keys and then bring the keys back, and they'll go to the room at different times.
Yeah.
And it's just, people are very smart. Let me tell you, women are the hardest to catch.
Yeah.
Because women are more careful than men. Men are cocky and they like to show off that trophy.
Yeah.
That's why he was doing her on the hood of the car.
Right. Right. Right.
Women are always looking over their shoulder. You'll be trailing a woman, following her.
Yeah.
And she'll go in a parking lot and circle, and then go over here and circle through this parking lot, and then go over there and circle through that parking lot just to see if she's being followed.
Right.
A man will put her picture in the window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show you how proud he is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the difference.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a, it doesn't surprise me that the part that surprises me is that he took her to a Motel 6. Yeah. And he did her in this nasty parking lot.
Yeah.
Because it's disgusting over there.
Yeah.
That Motel 6 is disgusting. I'm sorry. I hate it, but Tom Bodette, that's nasty. That's a nasty parking lot. I mean, It's just a nasty area over there.
For you younger listeners, Tom Bodette is a man who used to do commercials for Motel 6.
And he always left the light on for you.
Always left the light on for you. They didn't need to leave no light on for you. It's funny that women are smarter when it comes to cheating and evading people that are trying to serve them and stuff like you're saying. But in this case, she went right for it with the hood of the car in the Motel 6 parking lot. So there are exceptions to the rule, I guess.
Well, and I think the reason that she was so bold is she thought her husband was so in the dark.
Yes.
And see, he was a simple man. He was real. He didn't wear these $1,000 suits. He was more of your blue collar.
Yeah.
And she was more of your, $1,000 suit.
Yeah.
And he was
Fendi
more
bag. Fendi. Yeah.
And she wanted this guy, and they may have ended up together. I don't know, but to me, it just wasn't. I mean, I wouldn't have destroyed my marriage over a Motel 6 date.
No.
No.
And they both lost their job, I'm sure, at Acme.
They both lost their job.
Yeah.
And they both lost their marriage.
Yeah.
And
so they may be together. So
and they both lost a substantial portion of their retirement and their savings.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, I know she lost her house because he got it, and he probably lost his house. So I mean, and it could have been done right. I mean, they could have just said, "Look, I'm not going to cheat on you, but I'm done with this marriage." I mean, to me, that would have been the right way to do it. I mean, you spend that many years together with somebody, you got kids. I mean,
it's the least you can do.
It's the least you can do. I mean, the sanctity of marriage to me is just too sacred to do that.
100%.
Yeah, it's just nuts. But I'm telling you, Vinny, I got a lot of crazy stories.
Yeah.
I videoed a couple over at Perimeter Mall. Where the woman had to open the passenger's door and let her feet hang out to give a guy a BJ.
Oh boy.
I got the video. Got the video to prove it.
You could start your own website with these videos.
Well, I thought about uh, uploading some proof with some of this stuff, but I may do it with some of the stuff that is not so damning that we can mark out. I may give you some of that stuff to upload and so that we can show some of this stuff, but some of it is just too.
Oh, that would be interesting for everybody. I mean, if you can, I mean, not we won't show sex stuff, of course, but maybe some kind of surveillance stuff or stuff like that. Yeah, that would be interesting to show.
Now one of the problems that we would have is my older stuff from 20, 30 years ago is all that is its own videotape. It's not digital.
Oh well, we. I mean, if any of it's like worth seeing, we can always have it converted.
We
You
could
know?
always have it converted, and I don't know if I still got any of it or not.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that I probably have some of it, but I don't know that it's even viable anymore
yeah,
because it's been sitting around for 30 years. I mean, if I took it out and put it in a videotape, would it even play
yeah.
or would it fall apart?
Very true.
Yeah.
Also, I just thought of something. We can show the sex stuff as long as we blur out and black out certain portions like
Yeah.
that. So for those of you listening, you got something to look forward to. We are definitely gonna show some stuff. We're gonna definitely show some stuff.
Well, I got to think about that, Vinny. I gotta think, and also I've got.
You have a career to look out for. I'm throwing stuff out there without any.
And
Yeah.
I've got pictures. I got a plane crash. I worked a plane crash from a very famous person where they tried to blame the pilot for suicide, and it wasn't suicide. We'll talk about that case in the future. It's a very, very famous. Well, it happened in Bristol, Tennessee. You can probably figure it out.
Okay. Well, when you gave me that phone call and we initially came up with the idea for this podcast, you told me you said, Vinny, I got 30 years of stories. We can tell stories forever, and I believed you. And yeah, man, we're gonna keep going.
And I've also got pictures of the Sandy Springs bombing, and I'll tell you that story and tell you about the FBI and ATF wanting to put me in prison over it.
Okay, all right.
And I can show you those pictures if I can find those pictures. I will show you to them. I've got for my first 15 years, I took pictures of it with a 35 millimeter camera before the digital camera was available.
Right.
And I probably threw away, I don't know, 100,000 sets of pictures.
Uh-huh.
And I don't even know where those pictures are at now. But if I can find them,
Yeah.
I will upload them because I have to scan them in and upload them.
Yeah.
But I turned those pictures over to the ATF. But I'll upload them too. I'll upload them and we'll show those.
Okay. That's a great idea, Lynn. I like that idea. If there's a case we're discussing and you have some kind of bit of evidence or something like that, we can just flash it on the screen real quick.
Oh, it don't have to be quick. I mean, we can put it there for and of the plane. I'll show you the pictures of the airplane. But it does. You can't identify the airplane because it was after it was crashed, and the recovery crew went and recovered the airplane, and then they laid it on the ground in the position where the part went. Oh, we think this is a wing. We think this is the right wing. We think that this was the right engine.
Okay.
And it was just a reconstruction team, and only when I seen it, only 12 people had got to see it. It was a federal lawsuit, and only 12 people had got to see it for documented evidence. We'll go over all that though.
Okay.
But it was a very interesting case. But next week, I think we'll talk about what we call the. In this case, we've called this case the Black Widow case.
You mean next week, the Black Widow case?
Next week we'll talk about the Black Widow, and we called this the Black Widow case from the time it started. After when we figured out that this woman was a Black Widow, and you'll figure it all out. But I got to know a man by the name of Ken Krause.
Okay.
He was the very first man taken hostage in the 1979 Iran hostage case.
Okay.
And he was shot and tried and sentenced to death. And just seconds before they were going to execute him, they negotiated his saving his life. And this is his book, and a Marine enduring hell. And so next week we'll talk about that story, how I got to know him.
Okay.
And I knew him for 20, probably 20 years. I've known him for almost 30 years.
Okay.
And for probably 20 years, I never knew that he was that man.
Okay.
And then one day he was being honored, and I said, why are they honoring him? And I looked it up and figured out who he was. He's the most humble, nicest friend that you'll ever have. He's been one of the best friends in the world to me.
Okay.
And he and I were put through hell by the Black Widow.
Okay.
And we were just doing our job.
Right.
But he and I become friends, and he helped me out a lot in my career. And as a police officer, I helped him out when he needed things done that police officers wasn't allowed to do.
Right.
I would go do things for him.
Yeah.
So we become real.
You mean as a private investigator?
As a private investigator, when they were things that, actually, they would call it a CI, a confidential informant.
Right.
So I kind of acted as his confidential informant at times. Not many times, but there were times I acted as his confidential informant. Okay. And so I figured next week we'll talk about that. And then the week after, we will bring him on.
Okay.
And we'll let him tell you what he and I went through with this Black Widow.
Okay.
And then we'll let him tell you about what he went through as a Marine and talk about his book.
Okay.
He's a very interesting man. He is, if you can get him to talking about it, he is one of the most interesting people you ever talk to, because he is an American hero.
Heck yeah.
And he was defending our country, and he was shot and almost died. And he's the most humble, down to earth person, and you have to force him to talk about it.
Okay, well, hey, come on back for that, everybody. Something to look forward to. Lynn, this was a funny one. I had a great time with this one. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'm Vinnie Coppola. If you enjoy stand-up comedy and goofy videos, please check me out. You can find all my links on my website. It's vinnie.com, www.vinnie.com. That's VINNIE.com. If you need to find somebody, or if you need to serve somebody with papers, you need a private investigator or anything, look up Lynn Lambdin. Tell them your website again, Lynn.
It's LWIAS.com.
LLWAI.
No, LWIAS.com.
Okay, check him out. And big thank you, of course, to Simple Funding for sponsoring this episode. We do appreciate that. We will see you next week. Thanks for listening.